Funhaus is sponsored by ExpressVPN. It's not time to hack. Don't let hackers steal your financial details. Secure your privacy at expressvpn.com/funhouse.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Funhaus. You know what? We're just gonna jump right into it real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Roll that intro. So the thing is, in Funhaus, we can always try and come up with these crazy, wacky, wild topics. These exposés. We've been getting into investigative journalism. Adam was out on the streets interviewing people for something, I think, maybe.
Outside Vin Diesel's house.
We're bringing it back down for a more simpler, a genuine movie filmic appreciation podcast. I have an intro topic, but then I want to kind of jump right into what the heart of this podcast is going to be about. I just want to get your guys' opinion on, have you heard about Airbnb and Blockbuster?
I read a little something, but I'd like to know more.
Yeah, I saw the headline.
Mm-hmm.
I much like a Starship Trooper, I would like to know more.
Yeah. So there's one Blockbuster left. And it's like a novelty, but
A Mohican, if you will.
It's still decked out just like Blockbusters were, but it's just in a shopping complex in Oregon, maybe,
or was it Washington?
I thought it was Alaska.
One of those.
I don't know.
One of the uns.
One of the uns, definitely a state for sure. But obviously, as silly as it sounds about something like the pandemic affecting the business of Blockbuster, I guess it's affecting the business of Blockbuster. Turns out in a pandemic, people are less likely to go to a store to rent videos. But they teamed with Airbnb for a kind of fun, simple, like a fun little thing. And basically you can reserve on August 17th, which will be, I think, the Monday after this goes up, maybe. Mm-hmm.
So that's when you guys are going to book it?
Well, August 17th.
6 a.m. I'll be right online.
1 p.m. It's not
okay, 6 a.m. I'll be there.
You can book to stay a night at the Blockbuster.
The Deschutes County Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And so but I think it sucks because when I read it, I was like, I would do that. Like, if this is a permanent thing, like, I would say with Funhaus would go and then book this Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And then a bunch of us would go and we do it. We document it, and then we'd also like spend the night watching all the movies that we reference on this channel. Mm-hmm. Like we do Lawnmower Man, Demolition Man.
For sure. If we weren't in the end times, every influencer would be flying up to Deschutes to capture themselves at the Blockbuster Airbnb. It's the next Taco Bell hotel.
Well,
you remember that installation that happened.
Well, I was going to say, instead of the TikTok houses that everyone does, we do the Blockbuster Airbnb. And why is no one watching? Why are we getting older? Why don't you want to talk about monkey shines? Anyway.
Lindsay, would you want to live in a TikTok house as a TikTok fan?
As a TikTok fan? No. If I was making buku bucks on TikTok as a TikToker, I'd live in a TikTok house.
But if you have the money to not have to share a house with a bunch of TikTokers, wouldn't...
But you only have the money because of the TikTok house.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You would only have the money because you are in the TikTok house and like you're getting the other TikTokers into your TikToks.
How much money does a TikToker
if a TikTok?
Yeah. How much money? I honestly
I
don't use TikTok. How does it monetize? Do you get ads served?
I don't know. There's sponsorships,
Brand
I think,
deals?
but I deleted TikTok because I was trying to be a true
because you're a true American. Yeah. I
deleted it. Really, John bullied me into deleting it, but that's another story.
I mean, Jess is still using it. I love the fact all the news is coming about like TikTok is absolutely tracking you. They sold off MAC addresses of like 600,000 Android phones. We're like, look at this. Have you seen this one? Oh God.
Well, I mean, if they got it already. It's only information for people who have new secrets that they want to generate or have never joined TikTok in the first place, like me. So
that Airbnb description is oozing with charm and nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the picture?
I did, yeah.
The picture is just fantastic. They like recreated kind of like an early 90s living room aesthetic.
It's a pull-out
only
couch.
It's in a Blockbuster.
Right? It's a pull-out bed from a couch. I love it.
But yeah, so their description is: we've created the perfect space complete with a pull-out couch, beanbags, and pillows for you to cozy up with new releases from the 90s, which is exactly where I want to live. Crack open a 2-liter of Pepsi before locking into a video game, charting your future in a game of MASH, or watching movie after movie, but be wary of reciting Bloody Mary, and then they do a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, it just seems like that'd be fun. I wish we could do it.
How much is it a night?
$4.
Great. What, how much?
Isn't it $4 a night? Isn't that the whole novelty of it too? Because it's the cost
Probably
of a movie rental.
adjusted for
it's-
inflation of, so in 90s dollars,
Reverse
$4 today is $600,000.
Just click the Airbnb link.
Let's
Try
see.
to book it.
See what it says.
Get us that room,
Let's see what it
James.
says here. Oh gosh, you
$4
get access.
look,
Yeah,
$4
$4
a
a night.
night.
You get access to like all the chips. Oh my gosh, they got a VHS player. You probably have to rewind everything though. The TV is beautiful 4x3.
Now, if you'll return to the page there, the description, close this.
You got it.
I'm looking at the features of it, and it says studio, 1 bed, half bath. Half bath meaning it doesn't have a shower. So, like most of us in the 90s, we won't be.
No, you don't
Showering.
have to. That Cheeto dust is going to be all over us till the sun rises. No, but anyway, it just seemed like it was a fun novelty thing.
Yeah.
I really wish that there was some way we could take advantage of this,
Yeah,
but
that'd be cool.
you can't. Bend, Oregon gets all the best stuff. I've always said that.
Britt from What's Good Games was talking about how she had some sort of package sent out from her from a publisher or a developer, and as a novelty, I think it was for a Resident Evil game, they included a VHS player. And she's like, but then I thought, what am I going to do with this? But I kind of would love to have a VHS player that had the right compatibility cables that I could just plug it into my TV.
That's
I
like
have a VHS
when-
player.
You do?
You
Yeah,
do?
and
I have
I
one-
have a
I have one
little
too.
like dongle, and I plug it in. That's how I digitized all my old tapes, which they used to be back here, but they're
That's
not
what I
back
was
there.
doing. Yeah, I was digitizing a bunch of home videos. That's why I have it. And
Oh.
they're
You
not.
guys just get it on
My old
Amazon?
DVDs.
I got mine at
Yes.
Goodwill like 7
Yeah.
years ago.
Any
$8.
sort of like
Wow.
Salvation Army or whatever, you can find it. They're strangely
Wow.
expensive. That's the other thing. Like,
Yes, I think I got mine right before, and it was a cheaper one. And now all of them that I see are like $50 and $60 for a
Yeah.
for a VCR.
I think that I haggled it down somehow because I'm like, I don't think this one works. Wink, and then they were like, okay, 35 because they wanted 55 or something for it. And I'm like, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do I look like
Crazy.
a man that owns DVDs?
Like, come on! This is how I'm going to watch my copy of Blade Runner, where he does he talks over the movie.
I once found a bin full of Walkmen.
We have some.
Yeah, unopened Walkmen.
We do.
And what's up?
Well, I was going to say, isn't there like a resurgence in those because of Guardians of the Galaxy? People are like, these are so cool. Nope,
Maybe.
they suck. Terrible.
Maybe.
Well, these Walkmen they have are like the original Walkmen,
They're like
and
the
they're
original.
in sealed packaging.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I'm pretty sure I gave one to Kale. I don't know how I came across them, and I don't remember I used to think it was Machinima, but I'm pretty sure it was before
Sounds like it was
then.
G4. I think it was
I think
G4.
it was G4, and just in some back room there was just a bin full of unopened original Walkmen, and I was like, I'm taking these, so I grabbed like a bunch of them,
And you still have
and
them?
then I would gift them to people. I have, I think, one.
We have one or two.
Or two.
Because you definitely gave me one.
Yeah, I think I didn't give many away.
didn't
It was
give
a-
one.
Marry
Many.
me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a what's it called?
Seashell.
Dowry.
Oh.
The Walkman.
used the cow.
But yeah, so
People ask why I don't wear a ring. It's because it's in sealed packaging
In a
in my
Walkman.
under my bed.
But it's fun to think about those old things that we have. Maybe I should try and find it, and I'll show it. In
I
like
know
a
where they
comment
are.
Show or something. Yeah, I know where it is too.
I
It's
know
in
where
the
it
it's
is.
in the quick burn box that we have in our apartment. Which, if there's a fire, we want everything in that box to burn first. It's a quick burn box. But yeah, so as I was kind of traveling down memory lane, this is kind of bringing us to our next topic. As I was traveling down memory lane.
What's like the negative version of memory lane?
Man,
like where all the memories are
Trauma
bad.
Street?
Trauma Street.
like more like it's like trauma.
You don't ever
place.
remember Walking Dead.
Yeah, there
Or,
shouldn't
Trauma
be
Circle.
Yeah, there's no outlet. It's like it's a cul-de-sac. You're stuck in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Memory lane.
there's no lane. Lane you can come and go as you please.
Yeah,
Trauma
yeah.
cul-de-sac though, you're fucked.
It's a roundabout with no exits and a terrifying memory in the center. Well, it isn't all fun. To your point, memory lane isn't all fun because this week is the 6-year anniversary of Robin Williams' passing. And again, talking about Blockbuster and growing up watching movies and stuff, it's like all of us are here because we absolutely love Robin Williams. Maybe Adam less so. Always
dare
felt
you.
threatened by him.
What a
in some way.
statement.
But I know for a
I've been
fact
described as the
that-
Robin Williams of Funhaus, so how dare you?
Oh, there's your Blockbuster card. You should have pulled that out 5 minutes ago.
No, I just remembered it. I was like, I just remember my 12-year-old Blockbuster card. Anyways, moving on.
I bet you owe money.
I use this baby to get so many movies about what we're gonna talk about.
Aren't you from the Midwest?
Yeah.
But
Go on.
anyway, it made me sad thinking about, losing him because, there's certain parts of your childhood. I mean, I feel like if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, he is a part of your child. He was a god that existed in your movie and even television a lot of times world. And it would always be a new thing when a new Robin Williams came out. What's up?
I just saw Adam's list of his favorite Robin Williams
I'm
movies.
glad someone read that. Thank you. It's a good list.
But so speaking of list, I thought that to kind of celebrate him in a lot of ways and remember him, we could maybe just kind of share and talk about our favorite Robin Williams films. I'm sorry if this feels like a downer topic, but I think it's a great way to remember, what someone meant to you.
Sure.
And so
I mean, just because someone's dead, you don't need to be sad. He left a pretty damn good legacy. There's a lot in there, and like you said, it touched on so many different parts of people's lives that I think that's worth celebrating. And just because someone's gone, it in a way it just makes it more special.
Oh yeah, of course. But especially someone like Robin Williams, you think about like, oh, what he could have done so much more, and then you look at what he had already accomplished, and it's enough for 4 lifetimes, but you still don't feel content, which I think is a testament to him as a performer. And so I just kind of want to. We can start wherever. There are a couple movies that I saw a lot of us had shared on our lists. So there's no ranking, there's no anything, but I just figured we would just kind of talk about Robin Williams' films and stuff.
I feel like
does anyone want to jump something out?
You should open up with the one that we all grew up watching, of course, Popeye, when it was on TV.
Across all 4 of our lists.
I would say the only one that I think is on all of our lists is Aladdin. Well,
Yes.
I had to put Aladdin 3. What is it? The King of Thieves or something like that?
I don't remember. I think there's a marriage involved.
The Thousand Thieves.
I
my
believe
God.
you can still buy some of the arm casts from Popeye online, and they are grotesque looking.
Yeah.
It's these nightmarish giant, and they're like decaying now.
That movie is just also just a weird time capsule where it's like it's Robin Williams coming off his stand-up comedy, and like put him in a Popeye movie, but we're adapting a cartoon, so still make him look. It's a nightmare. The whole movie is a freakish nightmare that they shot on a weekend.
Robin Williams is kind of the Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey showed up, where it was like, do you need someone who's going to like distort their face for the entirety of this film?
Yeah, it's
like,
someone who is a rubber face, super high energy, manic. They're doing impressions. They're using their whole body to do comedy. They're constantly moving.
So let's talk about Popeye.
That was
Sure.
very
I
much
have not
what
seen this.
Okay. Well, I don't. So this is Popeye is a really weird movie. I have seen it a couple times, but it's never on my list of like, let's watch Popeye, though it should be. But it was around the time when I don't know what I was looking at.
I
It
put
was
in
around
the
the time
put in the clip where he's eating spinach, which looks terrible in live action form. Sorry.
when movie studios said we can make existing IP or take existing IP, adapt it into film, and people will eat it up. So the only difference is we hadn't got there technologically and maybe in understanding source material in the same way that we knew what the best way to do that was. So everything would be live action. Dick Tracy, Popeye, all of the superhero movies that came out pre Batman 89, like they were all like, we understand there's value here, but we're not sure why. And so the end result is Popeye.
Poor Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall
is
olive oil.
Olive oil.
Perfectly cast,
but
by the way.
Yeah.
I think the casting is fine. It's just really a weird movie. They all live on an island, and they of course Robin Williams has these massive prosthetic hairy arms.
Forearms.
They look convincing, but in a way that makes you nauseous.
Yeah.
Adam, why is this your favorite Robin Williams film?
Oh, I put it down there as the first Robin Williams movie I ever saw because it was on TV as a kid. And
Wow.
I was a Popeye fan as a child because it was like one of the few cartoons that would air, during the day. It was like that and the Batman, the live action Batman show starring Adam West. That was my childhood growing up in the sad home. But I remember Popeye made me think spinach was good. And I remember asking my mom for canned spinach and then eating it and being like, this is disgusting. And I hated Popeye after that. And I still hate canned spinach. But either way, I remember wanting to watch that movie because it was on TV all the time. And I remember just thinking it was such a nightmare and it frightened the hell out of me. But it is a memory, a fond memory in a way, just because it was the first time I ever saw Robin Williams on screen. I always thought he was entertaining, even though he was very scary to look at. So it's a joke reason, but it's a real reason. There's some.
It does have a meaning to you,
somewhat, yeah.
Some twisted trauma. What is it? Trauma.
I liked Trauma Street, but I also like Trauma Cul-de-sac.
Trauma Cul-de-sac. Trauma Lane. Kind of way. So it's weird. And again, it's one of those things where you're like, people worked really hard on this. Like, look at these sets. Look at these costumes. Yeah. Wow. They really went for it. I don't like this. I'm not happy. I don't like this. I feel really uncomfortable.
We don't have to talk about Popeye anymore. I'm sorry. You could move on from that.
That's okay.
I didn't mean to sidetrack it.
Well, I was going to say the one thing that we all have on our list is Aladdin.
Yeah.
Which is...
Some of us have Aladdin 3.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say which one of us.
Do you want to have my real reason why I put that down there? Only it's tied to the story that when he made Aladdin 1, he said, hey, Disney, don't use my character in any promotional stuff for commercials or anything like that. And Michael Eisner said, cool. Let's just do it. Or Katzenberg, all those evil Disney executives of the 90s. And so he didn't return for the direct to tape. Was it Return of Jafar? And they got Dan Castellaneta of Homer Simpson fame to do the voice. But then I guess there was some make good when someone else took over. They got rid of Katzenberg and it was basically as like an apology. And he came back to do Aladdin 3. And I don't think a lot of people even knew that or cared. But I thought that was interesting that it showed kind of what a stand-up guy he was, that he stood by his morals. And
didn't Robin Williams make some like public showing of it at an awards show or something? He did some. I don't know. I think I've seen it in some documentary material, but he did something.
Possibly. He did a lot of crazy things. Yeah, so many drugs. But
yeah. Well, that's enough of our discussion on Aladdin 3.
Sorry.
Subtitle we can't recall. But Aladdin is a classic. It's a Disney classic.
Yes.
It's what would you call it? The second wave renaissance. For
it
Disney
was the renaissance
films.
of Disney animation. Yeah.
Part of a lot of that credit goes to the artists who were somewhat empowered around that time, and then
Howard Ashman and Alan Menken.
Yeah. Howard Ashman and Alan Menken for their incredible music. But we have seen that a lot of those elements come back again in a more recent film, Aladdin, that didn't have our Robin Williams in that genie role, and it just didn't feel the same. I honestly didn't think Will Smith was that bad, but he was trying. Created this. He was the perfect genie, because I feel like up until that point there had been Aladdin cartoons, but they were all like booming, large, booming, nothing fun about this kind of like, I am either a condescending prick or I am like your slave to do with what you please. But this genie is so fully fleshed out.
It's
like,
a genie that you have empathy for
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And when Robin Williams hits those notes that pull on your heartstrings as the genie, you're like, you really get it. And it's the same frantic and vibrant Robin Williams comedy distilled into animated form where he can go to any height that he wants and say whatever he wants, and it's going to be manifested on screen in a really energetic way. It's great.
There's a weird counter argument here, just to kind of play devil's advocate. It's sort of the argument people have made for certain actors that it's not that they're great actors, they're charismatic. And Robin Williams was cast as the genie as Robin Williams in the sense that they actually they did a basically an animatic or just a black and white sketch sort of animation rough of one of Robin Williams' stand-up routines to convince him to play the genie. So they didn't really say, we need you to play this character. It's like, we're basing the character around you. But like you could say, that doesn't make him a good actor, but I think at the same time, just it makes him a very charismatic person, but it makes him such a character that they could base a cartoon on a human being. I thought was probably the nicer way of looking at it.
Yeah. Well, all films are a team effort, right? And so but it's nice that they identified ahead of time. They were like, we think that he would be perfect to embody this character because this movie is kind of a buddy comedy. It's like it's two buddies doing their thing and having their falling out and like figuring out their actual relationship with each other. But one of them is magical and time and space doesn't matter to him. So when he's doing Bing Crosby impressions or whatever, like that's perfectly Robin Williams, but that's also perfectly Genie. And I think that's why it's so great.
But there's the part too where they explain that he's made of nanomachines because Aladdin takes place in the future. It's a post-apocalyptic. They explained all this to Robin, and he agreed to do the movie based on this known fact.
When the stars say sex or whatever, right?
That was The Lion King, and yes, I did show that to my neighbor.
Lindsay, how do you? Because I know that you had a little crush on Genie.
He could take the form of anything.
It was a big crush.
Check those Blockbuster rental records.
Aladdin and Robin Williams being Genie, and like that movie was prime. I must have been. What is that? What year is that movie?
92, 93.
2, yeah.
So
something like that.
Yeah, I was about 5 or 6, and that's like the right when I'm starting to get introduced into and like remembering. And them having an impact on me, those Disney films. So it's one of my all-time favorite classics with Robin Williams. And if I can use that to segue to one other animated film on my list, I don't think anybody else has any other animated films. Actually, some of them I haven't seen. So, but Ferngully was another classic favorite of mine, and he was Batty.
I put my honorable mentions below.
Oh, there's a whole nother list.
I put Ferngully in there too because I was like Batty is such a cute, adorable character, and the voice he does for it is amazing.
And that's not Bartok, the character from Anastasia.
No,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure because they look identical.
Anyways, I loved that movie too when I was a kid, so it was always a classic.
It's too political for me. It was too political. I couldn't.
There's just a weird part in the movie. Well, because the guy gets shrunk, right? And then he's like, he's a wood chopper. He's a chainsaw man. And then
he just marks the trees.
Oh, he's only a marker. Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, and then that's right.
Yeah,
the big machine comes in, run by Tim Curry, who's the Smog. But then I remember he explains to the forest nymph, and he's like, he goes, "I live in the city. We don't have trees." I remember thinking as a kid, like, that's bullshit. Cities have trees. He lies. Otherwise, he wouldn't have air and he would die. But then I thought the bat with the radio in his head was funny. So
there's one major difference between Aladdin and Ferngully. But when you watch Aladdin, and it's like sort of a timeless film, but when you watch Ferngully, you're like, this is the 90s because of the music. And he's like, he's got his Walkman. Speaking of Walkman, he's got his Walkman. He's like doing these dances with that 90s beat coming through.
Yeah.
I feel like a kid.
Tone Loke's in it. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's a cool movie.
Yeah. Tone Loke. I have 3 animated characters that I associate together in a trinity, and it's Bartok, Batty, and then Ducky from Land Before Time.
Man,
That I just
The
all together.
you would all qualify them as like the
or not. Sorry, not Ducky. What's the pterodactyl from Land Before Time?
Terry? I don't know. Based off the
I'll look
way
it
we're
up.
going with the naming
I'll look it up
conventions.
really quick.
you could get it wrong, and I can guarantee you, no one would be upset.
Elisa's gonna
I just
look
wanna
it up.
know.
Elisa's
Okay.
gonna look it up, and we're gonna have the answer right
It's
afterward from our
Petrie.
sponsor. Do you experience stress or have anxiety or chronic pain or trouble sleeping at least once a week? I'm asking these questions kind of facetiously because I don't know a single person on this planet who doesn't have at least one of those things some of the time. You are absolutely not alone. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's perfectly normal, but it's not something that you necessarily have to deal with. I know that I deal with stress all the time. And let me try and think about what's causing me stress in my life right now. Everything? No, the giant motorcycle that rides by my place, they causes me stress. No, tons of things cause me stress. We're living in a very, very stressful time. And I think it's normal to feel that way. But I think it's also important to know that there are things that can help. Feels is one of those things. What is Feels? Feels is premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. Now, what does Feels do? Feels naturally helps reduce stress, anxiety, and pain and sleeplessness. So in my case, the motorcycle that goes by and makes me feel like my entire apartment is going to collapse, I can take Feels and then I can reduce the anxiety that I feel from it. In other situations, I know that people use it before they go to sleep and it helps their body relax and rest so that way they can have a more restful sleep and be prepared to take on the rest of the day. These kinds of anxieties, these kinds of stress, they compound upon each other. So the most important thing you can do is try and figure out our way to reduce them. Taking Feels is as easy as just placing a few drops under your tongue, and you're going to feel the difference within minutes. The thing to remember about CBD is that finding your right dose is very important because everyone's dose is different. So leave room to experiment over the course of a week or so. You might need to take more or less to get the exact kind of relaxed anti-anxiety feeling that you're after. If you're new to CBD and you have questions, Feels offers a free CBD hotline to help guide your personal experience. Feels works naturally to help you feel better. There's no high hangover or addiction. Also, by joining Feels, you're not just getting the CBD, you're also joining the Feels community to get Feels delivered to your door every single month. You'll save money on every order and you can pause or cancel anytime. Feels will have you feeling your best every single day. It can really help. So become a member by going to feels.com/filmhouse and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/filmhouse to become a member and get 50% off automatically, taking off your first order with free shipping. Feels.com/filmhouse. And we're back to talk more about our favorite Robin Williams films.
And Petrie from Land Before Time, which is such a cute little name for a pet, Petrie.
Mm-hmm. Great name for a pterodactyl. I think Terra would have been a better name.
I don't know about that.
I do want to do this
ahead.
with you guys at some point. There are 10, I think, or 11 Land Before Time movies.
There's a lot of them.
1 week, every day, we just watch all of them.
2 a day.
We wouldn't be able to. Yeah, we would have to watch more than one.
And
a day.
that's why we make the argument that weeks need to be longer.
Oh, okay. Mr. President.
Twist.
I tip my hat at you. Anyway.
So all right, so let's move on. Again, I want to make sure we get to the ones that everyone kind of had on their list, which means we're going to talk about everything except for Adam's films.
How dare you.
Who wrote should have been the Joker for one of his movies.
I think I know a lot of trivia about Robin Williams for some reason. Like he campaigned to be the Joker in every Batman movie, and they're like, you're not right for it. And I'm sure he came in dressed up as Patch Adams, and yeah, it was one of those roles he wanted, but the world never gave him. And I think that was I would have actually loved to see his interpretation of the Joker, because at this point, whatever, who cares, right? I mean,
Yeah, I know. The lid is open now. We've called forth the demons, so we might as well see it all. I was gonna talk about Mrs. Doubtfire, which is growing up as a child of HBO, where movies were essentially in syndication, and you would just put something on, and then you every single time Mrs. Doubtfire came on, I would watch it all the way through. That movie flies.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. I have only one criticism of the whole thing. And it is that at the beginning, he's recording the voices for the cartoon characters and doing it all live. And I'm like, that's not how it works, but sure.
it is also one of those movies that the older you get, you realize how in the wrong he is. Like, and I think that's part of the sell too, is that I don't think any other actor could have been that charismatic that you feel for, but he's a fuck up all the way throughout that movie. Even when he's like, I just want to be with my kids. Like, but Dad, fuck you. And he's like, oh, sorry. You know, he's like yelling at the young little Lawrence child. He's just such a dick to everyone, but he's a lovable dick. And then he almost burns the house down. It's just, I don't know. But then and then, you know, it all kind of comes together in the end. But in reality, when you look at it,
he lies and manipulates so many people.
Everybody.
Well, I think that's why the movie's so good, though, is because, like, as a kid, you're watching it and you're going, like, he's dressing up as this
He
old
just wants to be
lady.
near his
And
kids.
he's so much fun or whatever. But the movie hits you over the head. And like you're saying, as an adult, you watch it and it's very different. There's a whole thing. And just in case you weren't following along, towards the end of the movie, the judge stops and goes, you have some problems, serious problems, that you need to work out, and you thought this was the solution.
And poor Sally Field is always having to be the bad guy in her kids' eyes. Yeah. She's struggling just to raise them and keep everything in line. And as a kid, you're kind of like, I wish Robin Williams my dad. Fuck you, Sally Field. But then as an adult,
Cake
you're like,
for breakfast.
You're like, I feel bad for Sally Field.
I mean, she's dealing with a bunch of emotional trauma, trying to raise family, and now she befriends a nice old Scottish woman who then she ends up finding out is the man she's been sleeping with for the last. It's like, how fucked up is he? And she's like, I just want my kids back. Come on.
There's so many amazing Robin Williams tour de force moments in Mrs. Doubtfire, because he's on the pendulum of swinging back and forth between the dad doing his voiceovers, so he gets to do all his impressions, it'd be silly and fun, and Mrs. Doubtfire doing that whole shtick. But then when he's dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire and he's talking to, like, you know, the moments, I think it's in the bar or something, there's a guy that's ogling him and his Mrs. Doubtfire, and doesn't he say, like, take a picture or something like that
in his voice? Yeah,
something like that.
Just so many. The 'twas a run by fruiting, you know, his relationship with Pierce Brosnan is so amazing, and that's just like peak Robin Williams was a genius. An absolute genius. And I absolutely think so. And, like, you know, a part of his neurological disorder, I think a lot of people, from what I've read, they deteriorate a lot faster than he did because of his level of intellect. He withstood it as long as he did. But I don't know that anybody could have just walked in and done what he did in that movie.
Well, but also he's going from the most cartoon of cartoons, right? And not, I don't want to diminish Jim Carrey, but Jim Carrey's great when you just wind him up and you set him off. Robin Williams in one film can go from being off the wall Mrs. Doubtfire ridiculous character to then again back in the courtroom scene where, if you recall, it's the judge telling him about how crazy it is and saying that he's not going to get his kids anymore, and he's weeping. He's like, please stop my kids. Like, you feel really bad for it, and like that's a lot of range, you know, that requires something. Aerosmith song in there.
I mean, it introduced a young all of us to a very middle-aged Harvey Firestein. That's
Harvey Firestein, yeah.
The Harvey Firestein reference. Matchmaker, make me a match. Find me.
It's a great movie.
You look just like your mother.
Yeah, beautiful. I will go along with this plan. It's just all these enablers
the whole
around
movie
him.
is just a delight. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I guess, like, celebrating it now, it was also a kids movie that came out in 1993-ish.
Yeah.
Or 5. Is that like it was targeted at kids, and like he's got a gay brother in it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not a thing, and
Yeah, I know. It's great. I think it's a great film. I think it's really beautiful, and it's another thing where kids can watch movies that have adult themes. Like you don't have to. If you made that movie with your target audience being kids, like we are all probably way more familiar with it than any adults. Like I don't know that there's people who are now in their 60s who are thinking back, Mrs. Doubtfire, wow, like. I think it's our generation, and we've gotten to appreciate it so many times because so much effort went into it. Lindsay, thoughts?
I love that movie. You're like, do you like Robin Williams? And I'm like, yes. And you guys are like factoid Robin Williams fans, and I'm like, oh, but I just thought he was really funny when I was 8.
What do you not like about it? I mean, like you just hate Pierce Brosnan's character, even though he does nothing wrong. He's just a handsome guy who's there, and he's like, I'll fuck up his car.
He's trying to be good to his girlfriend's kids.
Yeah, a worse movie would be he is a dick, right? And you're rooting for Robin to overcome him. But a very amazing movie with a ton of depth is one where he's a kind of nice guy. Yeah. And he really cares about Sally Field, and he's willing to to form a relationship with her, even though she's got 3 kids
and a weird nanny.
And a weird nanny.
And a crazy ex-husband.
Yeah.
And a crazy ex-husband, yeah.
Yeah. I remember my one plot hole, I remember being upset in that movie, or not being upset, but just being confused as a kid and just being like, how did he know their phone number? That was so weird because he changes the phone number of the ad for the babysitter, but then he knows their phone number, which is like, well, she never changed it. And I was like, oh, this isn't like a realistic divorce. So anyway,
what did she say? I am Job. I am Job.
But none of that was scripted. That was just him being like,
yeah,
and action. And he's like, we're doing it. Okay. And then he just do your thing, Robin, you psychopath.
So much fun. What's your favorite funny sequence, Lindsay, from that whole movie? I want a set piece.
Whenever I think of Mrs. Doubtfire, I just think of the vacuuming and the dude looks like a lady. It's classic.
Nice. Yeah,
doing
classic.
a little, like shuffle move.
Yeah. I always danced around. I'd be like, Mom, put on it, Aerosmith.
Yeah.
And that's how she would get me to vacuum, honestly, because I could dance to that song. She's like, you're, 10-year-old girl. You are a lady. I'm a dude. Look like a lady.
Act like one.
That's really sweet. I always like the scene where where Mrs. Doubtfire, Euphigenia, is riding home on the bus, and the old man.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
The old man sees her, and then is very nice and like polite to her, and then notices that
the stocking
is down, and she's got an extremely hairy leg. Yeah. And he's like, no, it's okay.
I'm natural, yeah.
But he doesn't say it in a creepy way.
No.
He says it in a very nice way. But then Robin Williams' character feels bad for the old man, so he has sex with him. They didn't show that. That wasn't in the HBO version, but they had that in the director's cut. That's the only difference, is that Robin Williams feels bad for the old man, so he does have sex in the bodysuit. The old man doesn't notice.
Pie Face is another classic.
Oh,
I always wanted to do that, and my mom was never going to let me do that. But
we had to do that at the office. Well, we didn't have to, but I remember watching.
Had the privilege.
Yeah, the privilege of guests coming by and say, reenact this movie from 25 years ago. And you guys did it.
That was Elise's idea.
Yeah.
At least guests came by and Elise said, what you guys should do? Reenact that scene from that movie from 25 years ago. And they went, where are we? Well, who wants to throw out another one?
Oh,
Night at the Museum trilogy.
Never seen it. Convince me to.
I know what you're thinking. I know what
Same.
you're thinking. Elise, what? And yes, these are definitely movies for kids that got Ben Stiller in them. But also Dick Van Dyke's in them. Mickey Rooney's in them. Robin Williams plays one of these statues at the museum, one of the wax figures that comes to life, plays Teddy Roosevelt. And it's an inspired Teddy Roosevelt. It's really fun. For me, it's tarnished by sadness now because all the accounts of him and his degenerative disease talk about when they were filming Night at the Museum 3, he just couldn't remember any of his lines. Or he in the way that the director and everyone talks about it, like he was just a shell of himself making that movie. But I think they really are worth watching, especially for Robin Williams doing Teddy Roosevelt.
I didn't know there were
super
3
fun.
of them. I thought there was only 2.
Yeah, I
Jeez.
think there's 3.
That's-
Yeah,
They go to the Louvre or whatever.
I remember
just-
when I
he
was
just
watching
brings
that
them with
film,
him?
and I thought, wow, like a new kind of original. I feel like at the time it was a fresh, original sort
Yes.
of comedy idea.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely new.
All right.
And Jumanji.
And
Jumanji.
Jumanji's damn
Also-
good. That movie, I
Yeah.
haven't seen the new ones. I know you guys speak highly of them, but like Jumanji was
They're
great
okay.
because it's similar to Ms. Doubtfire. It's a kids movie, but it's scary. There's
Yeah.
like,
I was
remember being genuinely
terrified.
yeah, and it has some pretty early CGI and some pretty good special effects in there. But like, man, when that kid turns into a half monkey, holy crap! Like, everything in that
Well-
movie is a nightmare. I love it.
Powerful themes, but with the him and his father too.
And that's the best part, right? They have the weird the whole thing happens and then everything gets resolved at the end and then they're kids, but then they get to live their lives again with the brains of adults knowing everything that they know.
That is the thing. I feel like that may be a Robin Williams thing where he was simultaneously a actor for children and for adults, which means he was pretty excellent for those movies that needed to ride that line. I don't feel like there aren't many actors now who go in between and are like one or the other. Ryan Reynolds,
I guess The Rock is trying to be that.
The Rock, but he doesn't even really do movies for adults as much. Like he's the most broad. It's like it's really strange to think about, but he had this like thing where every child in the world knew Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But also every adult in the world knew Robin Williams, and he had such a broad appeal. And I think that's because he knew how to be silly and he knew how to be fun, but he knew that there had to be an earnestness behind it.
He's just a creative comic genius, and the way that people will talk about him, and when at Mork and Mindy tapings, the way he would entertain the studio audience just on the fly, it just like sounds unreal.
Yeah.
Like nobody does that.
Yeah. I think like there's certain entertainers like Conan O'Brien, his whole thing of like I can't stop. There are certain people who they're uncomfortable the minute they stop entertaining people. The minute no one's laughing or having a good time, they feel like they have failed, and that seems to be the sort of a common thread.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I just segue this to, we won't talk about it very much because I was only one on my list, but Toys was on my list.
Only played the game.
That is another nightmare film that came out around the time when studio executives said, "Who cares? Movies can be anything, even if they don't make $1." And so studio gave Barry Levinson a truckload of cash to make a movie about a guy who runs a toy factory, and the political strife that comes with the succession of that owner's death, and then ultimately leads to a war of new toys and old toys where children are being trained to fly VR drones and kill actual people out in war. It's a pretty heavy movie.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
It's a pretty heavy movie, has some really outstanding visuals, very catchy soundtrack. Robin Williams is full on Robin Williams. But I don't know, it's great. I think about the production design of that movie a lot. And again, he basically is a child. He basically plays a child in that because he's such a stunted adult. But then he has to become a man by the end of it and understand what that means. So again, great themes. But as a kid, I watched it and was like, toys, yay, yippee, toys. And they were not afraid to show me that. I don't know, who has seen it? Has everyone except for Lindsay seen it?
Not in a long time.
Remember the underwater
I don't know
thing?
why I
He
remember it.
he falls down a pit
No.
into a thing with water, and there's a underwater monster there that they're like, it's gonna kill him. He's gonna kill him down there.
Does it?
It does not, but it's
There's-
very scary.
That's the movie where they're in a room like looking at something and the room is shrinking around them, right? It's like
Yeah,
there's just
they're looking
weird-
at shit.
Yeah,
they're looking at
that's-
new toy versions of shit. Yeah, and they're like talking about like, well, this one's chunky. The color's all wrong in this one, and the room is getting smaller because the other departments are expanding.
Yeah.
It's bonkers. It's bonkers, but I love it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And then you can go, how did this get made?
Man.
That's it for toys.
Okay.
That's all I got. Yeah.
Don't stop me, James. Don't stop me. Stop me, James. Stop me,
Stop
James.
her, James.
Doubtfire.
Talk about Hook. We're talking about Hook.
Hook. Hook is my all-time favorite Robin Williams film. It's one of my favorite films. It's just I
to
watch
cry.
it and I feel like my childhood.
Have to cry.
It's fantasy and I love it. And he's so good as Peter Pan.
It's ahead of its time too. It is like kind of what they're doing these days with like the soft reboot of like what does Peter Pan look like later in life? Robin Williams, and he forgot his childhood. And Julia Roberts is there too. She's the nymph.
Yes.
Personally,
Tank.
I'm most partial to the televised Peter Pan musical where Christopher Walken can't remember any of his lines.
he
That's
can remember most of his lines, just not the one.
That's my favorite.
He's also the slowest. You sent me that video, and then it ended up recommending several other videos from that same musical. And there's a tap dancing sequence where he gives the least amount of shits I've ever seen about someone tap dancing, and I'm pretty sure it's just sound effects of tap dancing.
Can't
going
recommend
along.
it enough.
Anyway,
All right. So
That's magical. Once this
better than
quarantine's
Hook.
over, I'm gonna go up to Lindsay's face and I'm gonna go, there you are, Lindsay.
Oh my God. I do that to everyone whenever I have a revelation. That's something I just say instinctively because it's burned into my brain. Oh, there you are, Peter. They're like, who are you talking to? I'm like, oh, nothing. I just found this file I was looking for.
I often cite Hook as one of the best examples of Steven Spielberg as an auteur, because he's made so much, and so much of it is so amazing, but it's kind of hard to say why is Steven Spielberg so good, and I think it's because he's a master of tone. He's like a magician of tone, and he can, within the span of 3 minutes in Hook, take you from play, bounce basketball off his face, bunk, 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 and stupid bong noises and people skateboarding around, shooting sticky paint arrows on each other. 3 minutes later, that little kid is on his knees going, there you are, Peter, and you feel like you're going to weep.
I want to weep.
a-
I want to weep right now.
I agree with you, James, because I think Hook is a masterpiece, and there are some other incredible performances in that movie. Bob Hoskins, Dustin Hoffman. Hot take. I don't think it's the best Robin Williams performance. I think he's a really endearing Peter Panning, and you definitely want to see his transformation to revisiting and regaining his childlike wonder and everything. It's not Robin Williams flying on all cylinders doing what Robin Williams does best, though.
That's fair.
He's doing the opposite of it in a lot of cases. He's the cynic.
Yeah.
Robin Williams is like never the cynic. He's always the person who's drawing out the magic of the world around him in almost everything. I think, but it's a testament to how great he is, right? But like this, Hook is one of the few films where he's the cynic. Everyone around him is saying, be Robin Williams. And he's going, why would I want to do that? Hey, why would I want to do that?
I'm trying to remember the plot. So it's he's Peter Pan. He's been taking Wendy and all the kids off to Neverland every once in a while. But then
No.
no. Remember,
You're saying way back, way at the very, very beginning of lore.
Yeah, but
You're saying
because
he was Peter Pan.
he was, but then something happened, right? He came back, and it was like Wendy had a kid, and he was like, "I'm going to marry
He would
that."
return. He would return to meet Wendy. Wendy didn't live there, and he would come back every once in a while, which for him was like nothing. But time moves normal in our world, and so he came back, and she's like 12, and she's like, "Yeah, let's go again." And came back when she's like 15. She's like, "Sure, this is awesome. Let's go again." They probably boned, and then he came back when she was like 28, and she was like, "I'm married."
Yeah.
And I
have kids.
I can't go with you, and I have a kid now. And he's like, "Kid, you say?"
But then he kept coming back as she was older, and then when she was old, she's like, I have grandkids now.
Yeah.
I have this granddaughter, Moira. So then Peter Panning, he falls in love with Moira when he sees her. So then he decides to stay with her in the real world.
Okay.
And then slowly in doing
So
so forgets
Wendy
Neverland.
adopts him.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's what it was.
But then, yeah,
Okay.
when you're away from Neverland for too long, you tend to forget, like,
Because
when
Wendy became kind of this like this mother to all these lost children. It's like Toodles
Yeah.
is one of
Shmi.
them.
she felt her business became orphans or whatever. So then, but
Good
then
business.
it's a weird thing where Peter
wanna watch
Pan
Hook. It just makes me wanna watch
exists
Hook.
in that world. People are aware of the story of Peter Pan, so he is Peter Pan, but they're still put plays on because Wendy wrote the stories down, thinking it was
Right.
fiction.
Yeah,
and
they
then
all-
eventually
I
she
think
has
they
to
all
go,
just
"No,
thought
those
it-
stories are based on real life."
Yeah, and they all I think just thought it was an allegory for her saving these lost children.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was the truth.
It's
the
coming-
best thing about
it's
that
coming
whole
back.
And his
sequence-
name is like Peter Banning or something in the when
Panning.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
an adult
Yeah.
he changes.
Yeah.
His name.
The best thing is that montage when we have Gwyneth Paltrow making her debut in film, thanks to Uncle Steven. It shows Peter Pan's POV basically coming to meet Wendy again. She's getting older. And when she turns around and she's Maggie Smith, he goes like this.
Yeah, you were spoiled.
Yeah.
I always remember that. I thought that was funny.
I'm
as a
old,
kid.
Peter.
Oh, let's watch Hook tonight.
Yeah, love Hook.
Love Hook.
Can never not watch Hook. Have to fly. Have to fight. Have to
I-
watch Hook.
I want
Have to
to
find
I
Maggie,
want to
have to
talk
find Jack.
Jack.
it seems like most of the other films that we have on here are more of his adult, because
Yeah.
Robin Williams, he's a dramaturg. He studied drama and he
With
went to school.
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve. He and Christopher Reeve were roommates back in college when they were studying drama. So he's a classically trained actor, and a lot of people tend to forget that because he's also an
Juilliard
amazing
or whatever.
stand-up. And I want to talk about some of those films, but before that, here is a word from our sponsor. 2020 has been the year of things happening completely out of your control. There are people in their apartments who haven't left in weeks or months, and their hair's getting long, and they're looking disheveled, and they're looking unkempt, but it doesn't have to be that way, especially below the belt. Manscaped is here to help. When was the last time you shaved your face? I know a lot of people are growing out their beards for their quarantine or whatever it may be. That's fine. But I'm here to ask you, when's the last time you shaved down there? Okay? It seems pretty overwhelming, but that's why Manscaped makes it so easy. The Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0 is a premium electric trimmer that's designed to give you a confidence boost through your body image. There's nothing worse than walking around feeling whatever that is down there. Their ceramic blade and skin-safe technology are designed to reduce nicks or tugs on your fellas down below. The Lawnmower 3.0 is also waterproof and comes with an LED light so you can manscape in the shower, in the dark, or in a dark shower. Say you live in a cave with a waterfall over the end, you could manscape there if you really, really wanted to. They also just released their Shears 2.0 nail kit, which is the perfect add-on to their Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. The Shears 2.0 is a luxury 4-piece nail kit featuring tempered stainless steel tools, and it includes tipped tweezers, rounded point scissors, fingernail clippers, and a medium grit nail file. The Shears 2.0 nail kit allows you to pluck your eyebrows and trim your nails in style. On their website, you'll also find the Crop Preserver, which is an anti-chafing ball deodorant. I know you didn't think you had to deodorize or moisturize your balls, but it helps. It goes a long way. This will help you tame that summer swamp. You'll also find the Crop Reviver, which is a toner for your testes. I think everyone pictures them so wrinkly. They don't have to be. You could have smooth balls if you really wanted. If this sounds good to you, you should go to manscaped.com and check out some of these life-changing products. In fact, listeners of this show will get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FilmHouse20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code FilmHouse20. It's time to grab 2020 by the horns and shave that front trunk. What's a front trunk? It's like an elephant. Like an elephant's trunk or like a car trunk? Because an elephant's trunk is in the front. The car trunk's in the back. But an elephant's trunk looks a lot more like a... So, welcome back. We have a little bit of time left, and I want to make sure we talk about the kinds of things that, the Oscar types of things that that Robin. I know Elisa's looking at her honorable mention. She has Jack down there. Now, do you actually think that belongs on the list, or are you just listing all of his films?
I listed some notable ones, the ones that people associate Robin Williams with too. I think Jack stands out because it is Robin Williams trying to make a really emotional point. 9 months. 9 months is one we should have talked about with silly Robin Williams because he's very silly in the movie.
The problem is the rest of the movie is just okay with Hugh Grant being a real dick.
Yeah.
We
didn't talk about we didn't talk about the birdcage at all.
I was just going to say the birdcage.
Thank you.
We don't have to talk about it long, but the birdcage is one of my top 5 favorite films.
I love Birdcage.
I love the birdcage. I could watch it over and over again.
I need to see. I need to see that. I haven't seen it, so.
Oh, tonight, Lindsay.
I almost put it on last night, but I was like, I should watch this because I know it's going to come up on this list because everybody talks about how they love it. I should watch it. I got distracted. I didn't watch it.
You will thank yourself tonight.
It only has one flaw, and it's that the son is a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds sucks.
He's an asshole. They could have done the same thing that he does in the movie but doing it in a different way with a different person, probably.
Yeah.
But
the son's motivations are supposed to be this catalyst that you accept for all this, but then as an adult, you go back and you're like, no, man, that's a dick. It's a dick move.
Also, in a weird way,
film.
if I remember it correctly, Robin Williams is like no pun here, but he's sort of the straight man of the movie. It's like it's sort of the wackiness is happening around him. And you have
he's dry in his
he's
comedy.
dry. I guess he's dry, but it's like he's playing his character, but then you have Nathan Lane and Hank Azaria around him, which are like it's two of their best performances.
Agador Spartacus.
They're very over the top as composed to Robin Williams, which is more subdued comedy, very dry.
Yeah, Starina.
Yeah, like Albert is the character played by Nathan Lane, and he's just like over the top, very easy to frazzle. Very.
He's
dramatic
effeminate in a lot of ways.
The movie's also shot like a play, which was interesting. Like it's mostly done in these long takes with these long wide shots. It's I listened to Hank Azaria talk about how they shot that movie, and it was really interesting that they rehearsed it very similar to like a play or a musical, but it was shot. It was it's a movie, but. I'm excited for you to watch it, Lindsay. Are you queuing it up right now?
Yeah.
Are you finding it on Vudu?
I'm watching
or
it. See, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it has very long scenes. The dinner scene toward the end, and it's also set up really weird with them sitting in those chairs across from each other. But it's such a long scene. But yeah, that's a endlessly rewatchable movie.
I absolutely love that film. I could watch it over and over and over again. But that I'd say is of his adult fare more fun loving. Does anyone else have other? Because I feel like he has a lot of movies that are adult, which are less fun loving.
Yeah, I had a couple that were they were more like ironic comedy, like Death to Smoochie or World's Greatest Dad, which are definitely darker, and it's him doing more adult situational comedy, and there's an edge to it. It's not all the way dark like in Insomnia or What Dreams May Come, which are kind of like him doing the full serious thing.
Yeah. What Dreams May Come, I put that on my list. It's the last one on my list. That was like one of the first films that I think I watched him in where I was like, this is Robin Williams? Like in this film that I think my world religions teacher had actually suggested me to watch this film because we were studying, reincarnation. He's like, if you want to like a concept of what that, like an example of that in artistic film, you should watch this film. So I watched it and I was like, oh, wow, this is really sad and dark. And I was like, it was sort of like that equivalent of when I watched Jim Carrey in like Eternal Sunshine. I was like, whoa, what a total departure from everything I associate Robin Williams with. And I thought it was a really good film because it was the first time. It was thought provoking for me as a teenager, So.
Yeah. It fits into Elisa's thing of what cosmic love or whatever, and eternal love of things lasting forever between space and time.
Love that transcends space and time.
Yeah, except you have to go into the afterlife where your kid says, hey, Dad, I remember you liked Asian women, so this is what I'm doing now. And I've taken the form of an old man because fuck it, why not?
Is it bad that I have a bigger emotional reaction when he sees the dog, though, than the wife? That for me would be like
Alice. What was the dog's name? Alice.
That the end with his wife, where he kind of pours everything out and is telling it's like heartbreaking.
Just everyone dies in that movie. I know that's the
definitely
point,
a
but
thought film. It does have some real fun moments of levity, like when he Naruto runs. He's like, over there, she's on the field, get over there as fast as you can, and he literally throws his arms behind his back and runs Naruto style.
that's where they got it. Everyone cites the weird the movie from 1998 that some people may have seen.
They should call it the What Dreams May Run. That's what they should call
Well,
it.
I got a name for the podcast.
Robin Williams is just a beautiful person.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh yeah,
Really,
Flubber.
really.
I see that on Adam's list. Flubber.
Lover, of course.
That was like I remember at one point that was like one of the only VHS tapes we had or something, and so I watched Flubber a lot.
It was a toss up between that or the Dr. Dolittle remake with Eddie Murphy. So I wasn't sure which one to put on.
I watched Flubber because anytime that there was like a modern remake coming out, like a Flubber or a Sergeant Bilko, my grandfather, who I watched movies with, weekly, would always be like, okay, well, we have to go watch what the original movie of this was. So when Flubber was coming out, we watched the original Flubber. Same like Sergeant Bilko, we went and we watched
Nutty
the
Professor.
entire we went and we watched like the entire Sergeant Bilko TV series. And like that sort of thing. But
What'd you think of McHale's Navy?
did we see McHale's
No one
Navy?
did.
I don't
anyone
remember. But yeah, Flubber. I mean, also, it was a different time in my life where I was like just loving anything Robin Williams did. Mm-hmm. So I was like, yeah, Flubber. I don't know what it's like. If I watched it now, I don't know what my takeaway would be.
I wish Flubber was real.
I don't know that I
That's
ever
my
saw
takeaway.
I feel like Flubber came after, like I was too old for whatever the next Disney movie is going to
Flubber
be.
come out.
So I feel like I was too old for Flubber
97.
when it came out. Yeah, I was way too old.
Yeah.
I would have been 10.
I was only 11,
that's
so I was
perfect.
still.
I don't know.
He's
He's not
other
in-
movies.
I was gonna say the movie's not in a lot of, but it's definitely one of his most memorable is Good Will Hunting. Like
Oh yeah,
that's
for sure.
I would argue probably his best performance as a serious actor.
The
I
Academy
don't know.
Award for that.
He may have, yeah. It's just such a he has such a great emotion. He plays it so real, like you get very lost in that movie.
Yeah,
movie
he won Best Supporting. Sorry.
yeah, no good. Sorry.
You get lost. You get lost in it, Adam. What were you gonna say about getting lost in it?
His performance. You get lost in it. He won Best Supporting Actor.
He won Best Supporting Actor for Good Will Hunting. Best Actor, The Fisher King. Best Actor, Dead Poets Society. Best Actor, Good Morning. The
He's
nominees.
nominated.
Nominees for the other three.
They gave him some
Yeah.
shit for Good Morning Vietnam because he improved 99% of that movie, which I guess if they would
I
have
was
just not
gonna
admitted that, he would have got it. Or no, they got Nick's for best screenwriting or something like that.
Movies we haven't even touched on, but obviously it's still Patch Adams that used to come on a lot. I was in a test class in high school, which was like almost a pre-med kind of test class that I signed up for, but the instructor was more a doctor and less of a teacher and was like, oh, I'm going to show you Patch Adams. And so then she would just play Patch Adams like maybe once a month we would watch Patch Adams.
That's teaching you bedside manner.
It's teaching us bedside manner. So now I know that if there's ever something wrong with someone, I'm going to turn the chair or bed over and pretend that there's a war going on or something.
There are movies he did that I would have loved to have been in the casting call for, where his agent's telling him, I got this script. It's heartfelt. There's so much depth to it. It's called Bicentennial Man. And you play an automaton robot and you get married. The end.
So isn't the whole thing you really want a penis? You're a robot, and your main motivation here is, you know how in Mrs. Doubtfire, yeah, I was in Mrs. Doubtfire. You know how in that you just wanted to get your kids back, you do anything to get your kids back. Oh yeah, I get my kids back. Of course, I get my kids back. And they go, well, in this one you just want a dick. You really want a penis, so you want to do it. Oh, well, son of the dotted line.
I don't think I've ever
impression
heard you do impressions before,
pretty good.
James.
And then an
And
impression
Robin
of
Williams.
Nixon citing the other one.
It was a good, it's a good Robin Williams.
I also had 1 hour photo not exactly the most fun movie to watch, but it was kind of a thing. He went through this phase where he was like, all right,
Dark. I gotta do.
I gotta get this Joker.
Yeah.
I gotta show him Joker ready, so I'm gonna go dark.
Joker ready.
And so he did 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia, and like definitely took a darker turn. But it kind of weirdly felt natural. Like I don't know what it is about growing up with these cartoon characters.
I think like very funny people also have very dark sides too.
Oh boy, what is it about me?
Not you.
Oh.
Not you.
He also
Not you.
introduced a huge group of children to Evangelion because in 1 Hour Photo, a child buys an Evangelion toy and he goes, "Ooh, Evangelion, pretty cool. Hey, you should buy that." Because he was into the series.
He's also he was a big nerd. That's another thing,
named
too.
his kid Zelda. Come on.
I mean, when you think about the person Robin Williams was, by the way people described him, I mean, he was someone that struggled with alcoholism. He was someone that I think Martin Short describes Robin Williams coming to stay with him and how sometimes like Robin Williams would go into these depressions and stuff, and he wouldn't hear from him. Like I think like we when we were kids and you would see Robin Williams doing these darker roles, you'd be taken aback a second and think, what, like that, he's this funny guy, he should be, it's kind of Jim Carrey syndrome, he should be doing, but then it's like, no, I think people have their own stuff.
Yeah.
Looking at this list, I gotta say, it's like a span of most of them are within 10 years. That's a lot to pack in 10 years. All those really great
weren't even
films.
Yeah, we didn't even include like the Dead Poets Societies, the Good Morning Vietnams, some of the earlier career stuff too.
The adult films he was targeting, the specifically adult films that he was targeting around the time we were growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fantastic, and he has been missed for sure. But I think he's done more than enough to be remembered for as long as movies are movies, and he left such a indelible mark, I think, on an entire generation, if not several generations. He's wonderful. Now I really want to watch Hook.
I know.
And Birdcage. And Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'm gonna watch Evangelion.
The Boo Box.
Did you know Phil Collins of Genesis is in the movie Hook?
Oh yeah.
Everybody's in Hook.
Glenn Close is in it.
Hook was the original Star Wars, where you were just, if you were a prince, you were trying to get on Hook. That's what you wanted.
You guys see Phil Collins back at the top of the charts?
Doing what?
Is it because people were listening to Phil Collins on TikTok?
Two young twins that do reaction videos, they were listening to
re-downloading TikTok.
In the Air Tonight, and they like flipped out when they heard the drop 3 minutes in, and they were like, "What? Who does this? Nobody does this." And so like Phil Collins now is like back at the top of the charts at that.
Where he belongs.
Where he belongs.
Where he belongs.
He'll be in our heart.
He'll be in our heart. Nice.
Tarzan.
Yeah, starring
Yep,
Robin
we got
Williams.
it. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. Tell us down in the comments your favorite Robin Williams film. Maybe tell us why, what it means to you. We hope you stick around. These are really fun. I always like the ones where we just kind of chill and chat about things that we enjoy without having to chase a headline or worry too much about it.
Tell me in the comments your favorite sequence from Mrs. Doubtfire. Top mine.
Yeah, try top one. Good luck.
Yeah, is it the scene where he's getting railed by the bus driver? I like that.
It wasn't. But I don't think was he a driver? Was he the bus driver or just another
I don't
man?
know.
Yeah, because he goes. By the
he
way,
was.
I'm a father pretending to be a babysitter. He goes, don't mind, like him just like that. And he went, okay.
That's not what happens in the movie.
And he held his
That's not
head
what
down
happens in the
and
movie.
just went to town.
No, that's not what happens in the movie.
What's happening?
Were you crowing?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Okay.
Hook. It's Peter
All
Pan.
All right. Well, let us know down in the Cromans. And until then, we'll see you next time on Filmhouse. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.